Okay. Hello, everyone. Um, I just wanted to take a few minutes to let everyone know kind of what's been going on the last year. I've had a really trying year, and I wanted to just talk to my fans and let everybody know what's going on with me and what's to come in 2026 because I think it's going to be a really great year. So, I think I kind of talked about this a little bit, and I might have alluded to it, with all the things that were going on with my streams and stuff. But, last December 19th, I got evicted from my house. Um, I moved into a house that it was a rent to own, and my daughter was supposed to be paying $500 a month. And we moved in July, and so I was able to stay there for about a year and a half, and I ended up getting evicted. Well, I got a new place in January, a new apartment, and I was in a relationship, with somebody who was not healthy at all. And due on February 17th of this year, he threatened to kill me. And the police were called. I got out of the house with my coat on and my dogs and my keys, and that was it. The case actually just ended up getting dropped, but because of that incident, I got evicted again. So evicted twice, right? So all through the months of July, August, I'm sorry, basically July and August, I was homeless. So that's the second time I was homeless since last December. Um, and so what I was doing to earn money was basically cam modeling. I was trying, different businesses and trying all the things that I could to essentially, just make it day to day because I didn't have a place to stay. I was paying every day for to stay in a hotel room. Um, and essentially, what ended up happening was I talked to my parents and asked them if they could help me out with my dogs because I had three until I got stable. And at the end of July, I was camping basically at at this KOA, and I'm sitting there at this KOA. I got there late in the night, and the next morning I woke up and my car was like a mess. So that when I got there that night, I they just have this form that you fill out, right? So I filled out this form. I was sitting in this I just parked in like because I couldn't get like one of the little lodges or whatever. That's what I was trying to get because it was like $74 a night as opposed to 100. But you have to share, you have to go to like a public bathroom and stuff. But they had showers and all that stuff, and it was out in the middle of nowhere, and I just needed like a break. So I camped in this little area, where it was for tent camping, and I wake up in the morning, so I just basically parked my car because I wasn't gonna try to put up. Well, I walk over to the place to set up a tent, and there's a frog hopping around, and I was like, "Oh my lord." I was like, okay. And I didn't have a tent. So I was like, I'm not throwing anything. I had an air mattress, and I was like, I was going to just pump that thing up and throw it out there. And because I didn't know like who was there. Well, I wake up in the morning and the people next to me, they look like they had been camping for a couple days. They have their kids. They're out walking their dogs. My dog is barking, like she does because she's a protector. And their kids wake up, and so I'm trying to clean out my car and stuff, waiting for the office to open at 9 o'clock in the morning so I can go and rent one of these like cabins, right? And this family is looking at me like I know they were talking about me because the kids keep looking back at me, right? Because you can't tell, you can't, even if you tell kids don't look right now, of course they're going to look, right? So they're making, I'm cleaning my car out. It obviously looked like I was homeless because I basically was. I mean, did I have options? Yeah, my ex, who I had the case against, he was offering to let me stay with him. Another guy who I dated before this guy, 8 years ago, he's been like stalking me on all my social media and stuff. He's completely I mean, also he's like, he was 25 when I met him. I think I went out with him like three times. And and he's been obsessed ever since then with he follows me everywhere on my OnlyFans, everywhere. And I'm like, I've had to block him, and I will, I feel kind of bad for him. His mom died and stuff like that, but it's not my responsibility. Like, I'm going through my own stuff. So he was asking me to stay with him. Well, of course he wants me to stay with him because I'm in this vulnerable, and that's the thing about being in a vulnerable position. If you have all these people who are acting like they want to help you, but they want one thing. I even had a guy, when this first happened to me last December. There was a guy who was following me. So I met him on a dating site, and he's been following me, for years. Hey, thank you. Yeah, you know what? This is a story about redemption and how, here I am, a year later, and obviously I have a place. And this is like when I get through this story, the wonderful thing is that you know, I've still been able to keep my creativity. I ended up camping. So I was just kind of telling a story. So in July, I end up, going to this KOA. I'm getting ready to take a shower. I'm looking for my shampoo and my conditioner because I packed all my stuff up because these people were looking at me all crazy. And so I packed my stuff up and I drive around and I went to the, to shower. I was like, fuck, I need to take a shower. So, I mean, didn't mean to curse. But so anyway, my health actually is really good. I went to the doctor and well, so last, kind of what precipitated all these things happening was last or in October of 2024, I got an abnormal breast exam and it was my second one ever. And a company that I was working for didn't pay me. They didn't pay me almost $2,000 or $3,000, which is why I ended up getting evicted. Because them not paying me the abnormal breast exam, I was supposed to get an MRI. Well, I get evicted in December, and I didn't get the MRI until 2 weeks ago. So luckily, they said it was clear, but they also said I was moving a lot because the way that they have you in this thing when you get an MRI is they have you face down and you're like, it's very uncomfortable. Well, they tell me don't move, right? And it's so difficult to not move because like you're in this, so it's like every time I would try to stay still, it was like it would like gouge me some places, and I would try to move, and then like it would kind of hit like a nerve or something, and my arm would shake because I hadn't you're not allowed to eat or drink 2 hours before, and it was at like 11:30 in the morning. So I didn't eat anything. All I had was coffee. So I'm like super jittery, right? And plus I'm nervous as hell. I'm going in there, they're poking my arm and putting all this fluid in me so they can see what's going on. And it's been over a year since I was asked by my doctor to get this breast exam. So I was very nervous, right? I mean, I was like, what are they going to find? Because in 2022, my daughter's dad died in 2021. He was an alcoholic. He died behind a liquor store. He was adopted, and we didn't have any information about his history, right? Well, my aunt died of breast cancer and brain cancer in 2012, my mom's sister. And my mom's other sister just died of cancer. But she had not passed away yet. She was sick, but not, we didn't really know what was going on. So anyway, I got a test. I asked my doctors if I could get a precursor test. If you meet qualifications, they will take a swab, you send it in, and they go through, there's a vast amount of results that can come out, right? You can get a positive, negative, a negative, negative, and then there's all these criteria, right, that they go through. So I wanted to do that for my kid because at this time, and this was another precursor to the whole eviction stuff, whatever, was my daughter was just out of control, completely out of control. And I should have never allowed her to move back in with me. Never. But I did because I'm a mom and I love my daughter. But I told her she had to get on She had to go and get a mental health evaluation. And if she needed to be on medication, she needed to be on medication in the when she was living with me, or she wasn't allowed to stay with me because it was out of control. It was Halloween in 2023, and she was throwing pumpkins at my head. I mean, there was holes in the door at the place that we live. She had boys taking showers with her. I mean, she was not even 18 when we moved into this house. Um, I found a butt plug in her room. Like, I mean, I was like literally mortified. And I mean, just the way she was acting, cheating on all these guys. And I was like, I never raised her like this. So I felt like it was stuff that was maybe going on with her dad. And then she sent me this text message that because I kicked her out of the house because she was just out of control. And so I told her she had to go stay with her boyfriend, this guy he was, he was on so many psychotropic drugs because of he was supposedly had, um, I don't know everything that he had, but schizophrenia one, all this stuff. He was schizophrenic. He was delusional. He had, everything that you can. And I was like, how in the hell does this kid have all these problems? He's not even 18. He came from this like very conservative family. Anyway, they were staying in his car, and they sent me this crazy video. And then not even 3 hours later, she calls me, "Mom, his car won't start. Can we come stay with you?" I was like, "Absolutely not." And I've really questioned that. And a lot of times I sit here because I've been estranged from, I mean, my daughter and I do not have a relationship at all. And it was funny because I tried staying with her in July when didn't have a place again to stay. And she kicked me out. Her and her boyfriend kicked me out for cleaning her closet. I was cleaning her closet one day. She came home and she boots me out of her house. And not only that, but there was right after that happened, there was a guy downstairs in her parking garage. This is in broad daylight on a Saturday afternoon. And he whips his penis out and starts masturbating at my car. I keep moving my car around and around because she was supposed to be bringing down the rest of my stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, so I send her pictures of this guy, and she's like, "I don't care." Yeah, it does. And that's what I'm getting to, right? And that's the whole point is I was thinking to myself, I mean, there was numerous times when I'm like, why do I even care? My family has totally disregarded me. I had a feeling the day that I ended up going and staying at this KOA, I actually called my mom because I had a feeling something was going on with my dogs. She had my other two dogs. And I text her and ask if I can come stay. Normally my mom's like, yes, yes, I can't wait to see you, blah, blah, blah. She tells me no, because something with my stepdad and that my two dogs are going to go crazy if me and my other dog were staying in the other room, which was absolutely not true. And I had a feeling right then and there and that's the day she gave my dogs away. She gave my dogs to somebody else. Well, she lied to me then. She lied to me again. And she lied to me a third time when I went and had lunch with her and asked for pictures of my dogs. She lied to me again. So bottom line is I'm filing a small claims suit against her for um, you know for giving my dogs away. I'd like for her to give me the dogs back, but if not, I guess I could have gone to full claims court because the price of the dogs over 11 years is like $20,000. But I thought, well, but I don't, you know, again, you have to make decisions in situations like this. I vacillated with it a bunch, like, should I do this? But then I thought, she didn't have any care or consideration to even call me and ask me if I wanted my dogs back. She just decided to give them away on her own. And when I text my niece about it, who my niece and my sister knew about it, nobody contacted me. And I was like, wow, that's a really nice family. So I spend all my holidays by myself, just working and stuff. And I thought, what is life even? What am I doing? I mean, is my life even worth anything at this point? I mean, I've been I mean, my mom basically gave up on me when I had my child with a black man in 2004. And she's always treated my daughter, different. My daughter went to stay with her a few summers ago, and she said, all lives matter, right, honey? Not just black lives, because my daughter's mixed. And I was like, what? I found out about that. I was like, get on a plane and get back home. And I sent her there because I needed a break because this is when she started getting crazy. So all of these things are going on. Besides that, I was in IT for 20 years. And because I'm sure a lot of these things and just my mental state and everything, I was not in a position to go back into an office job and, um, dealing with all of these things. So I tried to start a business. Um, where I was helping women who wanted to get out of porn to get into a programming school. Well, I had no idea I've never been in the porn industry. I don't sit and watch porn all the time ever. It's just never been. Women are not like that, right? They're just not driven that way. So people said to me, why in the hell, like, do you know anything about porn stars? Do you know how difficult that life is? I said, no. They said, well, maybe you should try, getting acquainted with what goes on in that before you start trying to think that they're going to go to a programming school, right? And the reason I pick that is because generally porn stars make around $150,000 a year. That's it. And that's a really high, like working chick all the time, that's what she's gonna make. That's a good salary. And I thought, man, I mean, you can make that in IT. Like I could just transition. I was just trying to help people, and I don't see anything wrong with making money helping people. Well, anyway, I didn't know anything about that life. So what I did was I got on this website called Sexy Jobs. What a nightmare. And this guy basically singles me out. He can hear how upset I am over my kid and how I want to make a difference. He basically steals $3,000 from me, my last bit of money. I fly out to California thinking that I'm going to get an interview with some women and stuff like that. He lies to me. I'm lucky that I'm alive, honestly. But when I came back, I had zero money. And I had a $3,000 a month rent payment. And I didn't, and my kid wasn't living with me because I had kicked her out. I didn't know what I was going to do. Well, since she wasn't living there, I started becoming a cam mom, right? Because somebody contacted me from the Sexy Jobs that was legit, and they were like, "Hey, you can make, they always say you can make $10,000 a week." There's one woman, and she was like the top model from 2007 until I think until like right around COVID. Um, so she did it for, no, I'm sorry, 2013. So she did it for like 8 years straight. Her husband was supported her the whole time. And so she made $10,000 a week, maybe three times in her whole entire career, but she made about $350,000 a year. But you have to put half of your money to taxes, right? They don't tell you all that stuff, right? Anyway, um, so I thought, okay, obviously, I have no idea what this life is about because this guy conned me, told me I was going to have to pay this money so I could interview these women. I didn't know what was going on. So I was like, yeah, okay. And I just thought I would write it off as a business expense. I get out there. He like lied about everything, took my money. He was basically trying to see if I had money to give him when I got there. And I said, no, I don't have any money. I don't have any money I can transfer to your account. And it was all just a scam. So I flew back home. I was like, oh my God, the people that I got to watch my dogs never showed up to watch my dogs. My dogs were in a room by themselves for over 24 hours. So I get back on a flight and luckily I had a credit card. I got back on a flight, came back. I was reeling from everything that had just happened and had no money. And I had, this rent and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God. I had owned my house and I sold my house in 2021 to pay off a bunch of bills and debt and stuff. And I did, but I spent a huge because where I lived, there was this huge fire of all these brand new homes. It was an electrical fire that basically burned down an entire neighborhood in a night. And so at the same time I was selling my house, so when I sold my house, there was nothing to rent or buy because all of these people with money had just become homeless. And some of them had insurance, some of them didn't, but there was nothing on the market. And I had to get finished getting my kid through high school and everything else. So I basically spent $40,000 on rent paying for a year at this house. And, when I was living off of the money to try to take care of my kid and, get her through school. She was supposed to be taking my car because she was, going to have my car. And that's what I bought it for in 2015 was eventually to give to her. She never got her driver's license. I mean, it just went from, bad to worse. So anyway, somehow I was able to this in town property. I wasn't gonna move there, I was gonna just move into an apartment, a little apartment with me and the dogs. She begged me, "Mom, I'll help you move, I'll do this. I'm gonna pay you 500 a month, blah, 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 blah." As a matter of fact, and so I said, "Fine." But she wouldn't respond to the lady's emails because she had to do a credit check too. And I told the lady, "Hey, I just have me on it. I guess she's not moving in." And I didn't even have her on the lease because she wouldn't respond. So anyway, she gets a mental health evaluation. They put her on medication. Um, she was diagnosed with basically, I, I mean, I don't know I was in the doctor's office with her, but they put her on essentially depression medication. Well, she said that made her feel weird. And I mean, I don't know why she'd say it made her feel weird, but she ended up getting off of it right away. And then back the same thing, she has a boyfriend over and she's doing cocaine in the bathroom when my mother is over. I mean, it was just a nightmare. And, stealing from me, I had to have locks on my closet door, my bedroom door, everything. Because as a matter of fact, even when I wasn't there, I have friends that were motorcycle club members. One's the president of the Sons of Darkness Motorcycle Club. And I would have him come and sit at my house when I wasn't there because I didn't trust her. And I was like, okay, this is insane. So she met some guy at a job and then she moved out. So anyway, all of this stuff happens, right? And so this is last July. So I'm at this KOA getting ready to take a shower. And this guy walks out and he says, "Who the hell are you?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "I mean, I've been camping here for like 2 weeks and I've never seen you." He said something like that. I said, "Well, I just got here and I'm getting ready to take a shower in here." So we start chatting and he's like, "Do you want to go to breakfast? Do you want to da 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 da?" And I mean, I had nothing to lose at this point, right? So we hang out. He gives me like $200 or $300 to make dinner for him and his friend that was camping with him. He worked and would go door to door selling Ethernet cable for quantum fiber during the day. That's why they were camping up there. And he was like, "Do you want to come down?" He's like, "I have a fifth wheel um, for the summer above this waterfall in Manitou Springs. Do you want to come and stay at my, you know, RV or whatever?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. I don't want to live in an RV, but I wouldn't mind camping for like a month." He was like, "Okay, well, do you want to do it?" I had no idea right at the time that he had broken up with his girlfriend and he was basically trying to parade me around as his new arm candy, regardless of whatever, I mean, again, I had nothing to lose. So I said, "Fine." He's like, I'll pay your storage, I'll pay your phone bill, I'll pay all your whatever bills you have right now. And if you want, he was basically, he wanted to piss his ex-girlfriend off. He was hurt by her and he wanted to, show everybody in this campground like what he found. I was like his prize, right? Well, so I go there and you know, immediately, I'm like, I can't stay. It was like 123 square feet. I couldn't even stand up in it. And I was like, I was doing my makeup in my car every day. Well, he didn't want me camming, obviously, and stuff like that. So I started, I was in this, you know, 55 acres or whatever of just pure, just nature. There was this gorgeous waterfall that went through that we were on top of. Like he said, there's 30 people in this campground. Most of them are, snowbirds. So when the snow comes, they go down to Phoenix. It's like couple, almost all couples. Um, and so I started, the woman who owns the park, it's called Crystal Kangaroo Campground, and she's owned it for 48 years. And her husband had just passed away a couple years ago, but I'm bored, right? And so I start collecting things and I start making wreaths. And I start hanging these wreaths like, around the RV and stuff like that. And everyone's like, can I buy one of those RVs or wreaths? Can I, they would actually let me borrow their machetes so I could go out and, cut down all this stuff. It was really interesting. We had a every year. I mean, there's tons of bears, even on the street that I live on now, and I live in town. I live about 10 minutes from there, where I was. There's bears that will come down on the street. We have wild turkeys, but there was a mother and two cubs up there. Um, Daily, really. I mean, so they were so crazy. We had a dumpster, right, for the park, and it has one of those bars over it, so that the animals can't get into it, that you hook on with like a carabiner. Well, we had one of those, but the mother took the top of um, the dumpster and she folded it back. Well, she couldn't get her arm all the way in there, so her and her cubs just started taking the dumpster and knocking it down the park out out the entrance, and it was like, oh my lord! So what they had to start doing was taking the big uh, the plow that they use, and they would take the plow and lower the plow onto the top of the dumpster so that the bears couldn't move it. The plow would be on top of it with the truck, the whatever. It was like it was its own vehicle. It wasn't like attached to a truck. They had one of those too, but this was like, an earth mover type thing. And so they would put the bucket on top of the every night they put the bucket on top of there. And so you couldn't take your trash over there either. You'd have to wait until the morning when the guy would take the bucket off of the garbage, because when I was there, I was only there for a month. They went through two garbage cans, through two dumpsters, because these bears, I mean, they're no joke, and they're not big bears either. But I mean, she folds that thing back like no tomorrow, like no big deal. And then they're rolling it down the hill, and all this is happening in the nighttime because that's when they come out. Well, there's also, because this camp area backs right up to an entire um, gated community where these gorgeous $1 million houses are just perched in the mountain, and it's really beautiful. But you walk outside of the campground and walk up, there's probably 30 to 70 trailheads in this one little tiny area that are all through these waterfalls and stuff. And then you walk maybe 200 yards, maybe a football field, if that, and you're at this gated community, and you can basically turn around. If you're driving or if you're walking, you can turn around or go up the hiking trails or whatever. So, it was, and the woman that owns the campground owns 23 acres of all of that land that people hike and stuff on. And there's trails that are, they're given in people's names that have passed away, like due to cancer and things like that. And also because of this, because this road is so heavily traveled by walkers and bikers, you're only allowed to drive like 20 miles an hour on it up the hill. And there's tons of road bikers and stuff that like to ride up this hill. And I would love to do it, I need to find a bike. So anyway, so I'm at this place. This guy's going to work every day, probably talking to his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend or whatever, because she lived not too far away from there. Um, and uh, you know, anyway, I became friends with the owner of the place, and she asked if she could buy some wreaths that I made. She wanted me to take a couple of her wreaths that she had and make them better, right? So she paid me $25 a piece for 3 of them, and, I still actually have to give her 1 more. But, um, I basically started a business doing nothing because I was so bored. I would lay out in the sun and I tried, it was so difficult to even I tried doing a YouTube live there. My internet connection was just so bad because, we were out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm like, so after like a couple days, I was crying and I told dude, I said, listen, I can't live in a place like this. I said, I'm gonna have to go get a hotel room or do something. And he's like, why would you? And I said, well, he's like, well, why don't you just start looking for an apartment? He's like, yeah, this isn't really conducive for 2 people. Let's just start looking for a place. So I said, fine. So at that time I started driving Uber. And I lived next to the Air Force Base. And so if you can get approval to get on the Air Force Base, they do a background check and everything. You can deliver on the base and they pay you, quite a bit of money if you're driving on the Air Force Base. The guys will tip you a lot. And on Saturday, like today, I should probably go out there and start driving because, especially since I'm allowed to go on the base, you can make a lot of money, especially during football and stuff like that, because everybody wants stuff delivered. So if it's not, bad outside, um, you really can't, especially on that Air Force Base. I mean, I think one night I worked for maybe 45 minutes or something. No, 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 I'm sorry. It was 2 hours and 45 minutes. I made $100. It was the most I made ever driving. And I was like, wow. And I don't think that that's normal. I think that that's because I was able to be, you know, uh, have the background check and everything. So I have like a pass that I can get on there for a year. And it's crazy because it's like, you don't just show the pass, you show the pass and then they ask to see your Uber credentials and your profile and all this stuff. It's like, okay, whatever. But it's definitely worth it sometimes. So I started doing that because he didn't want me to work. And then I realized why. Well, because he didn't want me to have any resources, right? So here I am in this totally vulnerable place. I am with my dog, um, and here we are. I don't know anybody. I moved, 2 hours from Denver, basically an hour and a half. Um, I'm here at this place where he has me, as his arm candy. He's fighting with the guy in the RV across from us. They're like getting ready to have like a shootout or something. And then to boot, he would like go off on me about certain things. And when I would retort back to him, like couples do or whatever, he would get in his car and say, I'm not putting up with this. And he would leave for the whole night. And I was like, are you serious? So you have me coming all the way down here. And I said, listen, I mean, at this point, I was not invested in this at all. I knew what was going on. He showed me where his girlfriend lived. He showed me all this stuff. And I could tell the day that I met him at the KOA, he was showing me pictures of her. And I said, well, obviously you're still in love with her. No, I'm not. I said, well, he told me that that was his twin flame. I said, clearly you are still in love with her, which didn't really bother me. It's like just because you're in love with somebody doesn't mean that you don't need to move on, right? Um, and he knew my situation with Anthony and, the fact that there was a case and I was being subpoenaed to go to court and all of this stuff. Well, he kept thinking that I was like still in love with him. And I'm like, I'm not in love with this guy. Trust and believe. I said, the whole time that I was at his house, um, he was blocked. And then because to show the courts just how ridiculous he is, I unblocked him so they could see how much he called and all the messages that he left. And it was always, he goes, please call me back to psycho mode, to I'm gonna kill you, you're a piece of, you know, crap, all this stuff. And then, he'll go back to the please call me. And so I was just basically showing them, what it's like dealing with a person like that. And this is not even if I'm talking to him. And he's the one that's like, oh yeah, come stay with me. I don't do that, right? So I never took him on that offer. So anyway, so I'm there and This guy, he's just going to be, we have a disagreement. He told me when he met his girl, or when he was talking about his girlfriend, he said, "We'll never fought." I said, "Well, that's super unhealthy." I mean, when you have disagreements with people and you get through it, that is how you bond. That's how you bond with anybody, right? It's like a baby. When a baby cries and the mother attends to them, that builds a bond between a mother and a child, just like two human beings. When you fight and you have a disagreement because you don't come from the same place, you don't have the same background, you don't have the same experiences in life, you're never going to not have a disagreement, especially living in a 123 square foot RV. Are you kidding me? And he basically said, "Well, you need to let me lead this household." I said, "Lead this household?" I said, "First of all, you're never in the household." I said, "Second of all, I said, I'll take somebody's lead when I trust them." There's all kinds of things. He asked me one day to send his package, his ex-father-in-law, for his ex-wife. And it was medical marijuana and stuff that he wanted me to put my name on and send it down to this guy. And I was like, that's not something you would ever do if you care for somebody. The other thing is that if he really cared for his girlfriend, supposed, why would he ever bring somebody else to the place that they were living together and parade her around and all of this stuff if you really loved her and wanted the very best for her? I mean, it's like you would never do that to somebody if you were talking to them and all of these things. It's like it was just I mean, again, I was in a situation with another narcissist, right, that only thinks about themselves. But regardless, I met this woman, I started making these wreaths, and um, when he started doing this crazy stuff, I mean, I think I maybe lasted there about 4 weeks, and it was going to be his birthday in August, and I got there August 1st, and it was going to be his birthday, I think August 25th or something. And I already had found a new place. I was like, I started driving around. I found a place. I came and looked at. I wasn't going to, it's the place I'm at now. The guy was late. He was 30 minutes late. And I was like, man, this guy. So I was like, never mind. So I drove off. Concentrating a ton of healing. So we missed the or something. Yeah. It's, okay. So picture. Um, so from all of this, I've concentrated a ton on healing, right? And then to boot, after I get settled here, drive into my storage unit, and I feel something on my dog's, like behind her little nipples. Well, she needed $2,400 surgery. So I had to do that. And then my storage unit got broken into. So I haven't even gotten all the stuff out of my storage from the first eviction last December. But I'm driving up there carload by carload to get my stuff out. And and what I'm retrieving from it is reads that I've made and a bunch of other stuff, right? But I'm also taking inventory because now I have to file a claim with the insurance, right? Because somebody broke into my storage and took my TV, all my tools, and others. Not only do I have to inventory it, but I have to find the receipts if I want the money back for any of it. So that's crazy. Or the receipts or the any manuals or anything. So that's what I'm going to be given. So anyway, all of these things happen. But what I started doing is when I first got here, I had nothing. I had my car full of stuff. So I have a 2-bedroom apartment that has nothing in it. And I can't go to my storage unit because, I mean, I can, but I'm getting, a carload at a time of stuff. Trying to. So downstairs, outside, there's bricks and stuff, old materials that he had because he put in, some additions and things like that. So I start grabbing these bricks and I found an old dictionary in the basement. One day the maintenance guy was here And I went down there and asked him if he could help me go pick up a mattress. And he said yes. And I saw a dictionary. I mean, it was like leaking because they're in there snaking the line and all of this stuff is going on. And so there's water everywhere, shepherds and stuff. But I saw this dictionary in 1950. I took my Mod Podge and things, right? And so I made these gnomes that I have for sale on my website. Um, and these are made out of like bricks, right? Um, so I started making these. I made the wreath, that is behind me over here on the mantle. I have two mantles in this apartment, which I love. So I love decorating them, And so I these gnomes, and then what I started doing was being really intentional with them and creating like little messages that go with all of my handmade things. And then what I did was I gave a couple of them on paper. One of the vibrations, it brings you like any sense like he's better, right? And so she said, what? Hold on, let me see. Let's see if I can switch my internet. I hope it doesn't just um no, this connection's unstable. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Well, maybe it's better now. Hopefully. I just switched um that's another battle that I'm fighting here because I live in an old tuberculosis boarding house, which is cool in a way, but he's never maintained really the building. His mom bought it, the owner, his mom bought it in 1976, and now he owns it by way of inheritance. He owns this and one other building, and he's never gotten rid of any of the copper telephone wires and electricity in this place runs on the outside of the walls, not the inside. If you've never heard of EMI, electromagnetics, through the roof here because every outlet is majorly overloaded, right? And then also all of the copper wires that he never cleaned up are just running everywhere because there were telephone wires in here, right? And for all of the 1900s basically until about 2000 is when we got rid of phone lines, right? So anyway, he's never cleaned any of that stuff up. So I have 3 internet connections and they all work for who basically. But anyway, so here I am now. I kind of infused my gnomes and my reeds and all my stuff with like good intentions and vibrations and make them you know, when I'm playing like good music and just, I really try to have it be when I'm in a place of, um, peace and understanding and openness and allowing. Because Lord knows that, you know, somehow, I don't believe in God, but somehow through pure um, determination, being exiled from my family, get my dogs given away, my daughter basically, turning her back on me, um, having no one, spending Thanksgiving by myself. Um, but the whole time I'm just concentrating on healing. And from that, I'm getting these ideas, right? I'm getting these ideas and I'm making stuff. So this is made out of like just a regular 2-pound brick, it's a solid brick. Um, And again, like these are on my website. So this guy and his little hat says, today's gonna be a good day. So he's like a good vibration, no. And he is, so I gave some of these away and I was like, tell me if, you feel like it's bringing you peace and goodwill and stuff. And everyone's like, people come in my room now with the note and they're like, why does it feel so comfortable in here? And I mean, that's the always what I try to give to people, right? Is a feeling of comfort and all the things that I've never really been shown, stability, comfort, love, support, all of that stuff, right? So this is a guy that I made, you know, um, and so everything is made from the old dictionary pages. And this is a heavier brick. It's on it's got the holes in it. It's not just a solid brick. This one I think is 5%, 5 pounds, I think. This one is like a 2. Um, but anyway, so I find I made this out of, like I said, dictionary pages. So this is like, and again, I made these, I gave them away, a few of them as gifts, to see what the response was. And I've also been making um, jewelry. So um, I've been making things with pearls, things that have positive energy, right? Um, so that's what I have basically been doing is like kind of pouring my uh, all of the trauma that I've gone through in the last year. And instead of taking it out on somebody or myself, right, in a negative way, I've tried to create and envision, how I want my life to look and make things, be creative and make things that I feel have amazing energy and amazing, they represent a supportive person, they represent all these things. So when you buy a piece of my home decor or a piece of jewelry, which I don't have any up on my site yet, but I have a necklace that I just made that says human being on it because, being a camp model and stuff like that through this tumultuous time was, it was not that great. It was trying. And how I made it through all of this, again, I don't know. Um, so I think again, I have such a determination for and perseverance for helping people. And I've met some of the most amazing people at some of the craziest places like the laundromat and stuff like that. Um, so where I'm at now, again, I have about 12 minutes left. So what I'm focusing on is continuing to heal. I am offering, I have my Healing for You podcast and um, Patreon, which um, is going, I have some interviews coming up from people that I've interviewed that are going to be put up there. I had it all done and ready to put up, and somehow I lost it because Clipchamp did this brand new update, and all my stuff is like in these formats that I don't know. So I'm going to be going through all of that stuff today, and I'll be uploading a bunch of stuff. And I'll be uploading packages of pictures that I took with my DSLR camera on this woman's property. Some really cool pictures, and other pictures that I took of various things, like this old abandoned motel. It has the signs up, but the building and structure has all been torn down, but it's called Love Fun. So I've taken some really interesting pictures that I want to share. And I do, and my subscription on Patreon is $5 to be a member. And I've made it that, and I'm just going to keep it like that for a while because I'll be adding new things. I really wasn't sure. I mean, I was just trying to survive a day, right? Um, and still be able to post things but I have a schedule now. What I'm trying to do is move from, to be a full-time content creator um, and really focus on healing gifts. So I truly believe that every person has a gift they were given from birth. It has nothing to do with your sexuality, gender. It has nothing to do with anything except it's a gift that you have to share with the world. And I would love, and I know that from everything that's happened to me, my gift is positivity and to be a supportive person, either with the things that I make or just communicating. Sometimes people go through their lives and everybody turns their back on them and they don't, it's been a long time. It's like when you see people like homeless people on the street and they're talking to themselves. I felt like I was almost at that point, because it's like you have no one to talk to. And so they're having a conversation with themselves. I was like, man, I get you. I get what you're I get where you're at. And people make you feel like you're going crazy because you're at the hardest, most difficult point in your life, and people are turning their backs on you. They say I mean, that's your mom and your daughter. You're like, what have I done in my life to deserve this? To be abused by my ex, threatened to have my life taken by him, and he ends up getting off, and not really, again, I'm not sitting here trying to bemoan all the things that have happened to me. I'm just trying to explain, why, maybe the last year my channel has been um, frayed and inconsistent because I've been trying to heal and just overcome all of these things in my life. Besides, I've been looking for a job, haven't been able to find one, been driving for Uber, whatever. But at the same time, I've also had a drive to share my story. At first, I didn't want to talk about it. At first, I didn't want anybody to feel sorry for me. I didn't want to share my story because I just wanted people to, look at my stuff and want it and buy it. But what I realized is that I have a story that is a story of redemption, and it's a story of somebody making it through. Literally being homeless 2 times in a year and making it through. I mean, I'm still not all the way through the mud. I still have my stuff in storage. This is not the place that I really want to end up staying because the landlord I haven't gotten keys to this apartment and I've rented since August. That's kind of crazy. And, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm living with this under a slumlord. I know where he lives. He doesn't live here, but, he's he's just not a person who is dedicated to my success. And I'm not saying a landlord has to be, but I want to live in a place where there's a lease and where they have to abide by it. Like 2 of my burners don't work. I mean, and there's nobody you can call because he doesn't care, right? And I'm very grateful to have had a place. And, but I also think the rent is really expensive for what I get. I have no ice maker, no garbage disposal, nothing. And I'm paying $1,400 a month. And I'm looking at places all over that are, much. They have all the things I'm looking for. I don't have laundry. I don't have none of that. And my dog, she has to run all the way downstairs to go out. And so yeah, I know it will be. I know it will be. And I'm not sitting here talking about my problems, right? I'm talking about the solutions to my problems. So, what I'm saying is that through all of this, I've still had my creative voice. I've still kept up with my blogs, and I've turned my Think Factory website and Healing for You into a place where people can come and feel supported and welcome because that's something that I don't have and haven't had. So I want to create a community and I want to create a place where people can come and feel accepted and loved and supported. And, and the things, the decor I make, the wreaths I make, the things that are going to be on my website are going to reflect my inspiration and my support and my care and my love for people. And that's my gift. And so I want to share that with my fans and my followers, and I want everyone to use my channel and my um, presence as a way to feel uplifted and to feel like you're part of something. I don't want people to feel like they have no one and they can't go anywhere because of what I've dealt with in the last year. I don't want people to feel that way. I want to give back to people and I want people to feel loved and supported and and I want them if they're driven to some people don't care for home decor. If you do and you're driven to um buy the things on my website, know that they're made with care and love, and they all come with a handwritten message and a vibrational intention that you know can change the presence of the room that you placed whatever it is that I've made for you in. I truly believe that your vibrations and your positivity can move through objects and move through um, humans and move through everything. That's what quantum entanglement theory, which is tattooed on my arm, that's the whole premise of it, is that if an atom splits, the two remaining pieces of the atom are magnetized to each other up to a universe away. And I believe that that's true. I believe that your vibration has the power to move another atom of universe away. And that your positivity attracts positivity and it continues to attract that. Just the same with negativity. But I've had so much negativity thrown at me and I've been able to overcome. And that's one of another gift that I have is just being able to make to continue to make a business out of absolutely nothing. I mean, I was taking things that I found, a brick that I found downstairs, and things like that. I was taking um, all the shrubbery and the trees and stuff out of this woman's property. She said, "You can come up anytime you want and take whatever you want." I go up there and get pine cones and everything. But I was taking all of that stuff, and she was paying me to make her wreaths, and she knew exactly where I was getting all this stuff. She said, "I love your stuff. I love it," and I was like, "Man, I can make a business out of this." And then I ended up moving to this neighborhood that's like these big, gorgeous Victorian homes and stuff. This is an area that the gold miners from Cripple Creek ended up building houses. I don't live on this street, but there's a street, a couple of it's called Millionaires Row, and these houses were all built. And also doctors and philanthropists built houses here because there was so much testing and stuff going on with tuberculosis because the higher elevations you were at, tuberculosis, and this is an old tuberculosis boarding house that I live in. Tuberculosis was, you know, it was a major killer at the turn of the century. The weather right now is like 60, I think it's like 59 or 55 to 60 today, I think is the high. So it's always beautiful here. Not always. I mean, supposedly we're getting like a big storm, but I looked on my weather map and it didn't. We just got a huge storm. I think it was like I think it snowed about almost 2 feet in like two days. So I was snowed in for like days. I didn't go anywhere for like a week because you know, it's like um it's not, but where this woman lives that I go and get all of my supplies for making wreaths and stuff, she lives up, it's called Manitou Springs. And that's where like the Cave of the Winds is and stuff like that. Like if you go vacationing to Colorado Springs or something, there is interesting stuff to see here. We have the Olympic Training Center, which is here. And the guy I was dating for a little bit, his daughter-in-law is she's a woman from Ghana, and she won the 2022 Olympic gold medal wrestling for the women's for the USA. And she is absolutely stunningly gorgeous. I mean, her body is just insane. Her last name is Stokes. It's like hyphenated. I'd have to look her name up, but she's incredible. Um, just her body. I haven't seen her wrestle. She started wrestling in high school, and then she got asked to go onto the Olympic team. And she's married to this white guy, and he supported her through everything. I'm not sure exactly even where they live. I did friend her on Facebook, but should probably like, who is this person? But I mean, I think that she's going to compete again in the next Olympics. So she's amazing. She's stunning to look at, to watch. She has always a positive message, and she's really inspiration to a lot of people. And she's not flaunty or flashy. She's just doing her thing, and it's amazing that she won the Olympics in 2022. So congrats to her. And again, so we have the Olympic Training Center down here where you get to, you know, hear and possibly see all kinds of things because we have the Broadmoor Center, which is where there's a nice rink and stuff like that where they all train. So that's really cool. It's not like you really see that many people. Then we also have the Air Force Academy, which is the 12th hardest school in the country to get into. So a lot of smart MFers down here, you know what I'm saying? And um, so anyway, I feel like my everything that's gone on has gotten me to a place of gratitude and a place of um, you know, being thankful for the things that I have. The Riddler was making comments earlier about we wonder what it's all for. I still really don't know. But what I do know is my purpose is to share my message and to let people know that they're not alone, that, whatever they're going through, uh, they have somebody, just a text message or a comment section or whatever a way that they can reach out to and that's going to be there for them, that is not going to worry about their gender or their sexuality or their color or their religion or anything like that. This is a totally unbiased, bias-free zone. I everybody, in my opinion, is a human, and human beings, we need to start relating to each other instead of creating divisiveness through our religion or through our background or through what country we came from. We need to start addressing each other as a human race and not worry about gender and not worry about any of that stuff and just be there for each other because people need that, especially now with data and just isolation. People are always in front of their computers and they don't even know how to relate to anybody. And I don't want to get to that point, right? I could have easily gotten to that point. I could have thrown the towel in. I could have taken my life. My brother did in 2017. Nobody even knows why. Um, and there's all kinds of things. There's a million different ways you can handle things. But I decided to keep making my art and to try to push forward with my content and continue trying to make a business out of something that truly was inspirational and means something to humans and to the people that purchase or buy my products. So we're at the hour. I'm 4 minutes over. I did have something, if you guys gave me supers throughout, I was going to do an after show and I was going to show you how I make these, but I didn't get any. So I'm just going to end my stream now. And I will have a video on the things that I make. And I also make some of these handmade bowls. So I'll have some videos coming up of those things. And so I just wanted to get real with everybody today and be transparent about what has been going on, why the channel has been, a little wonky this last year, but what's going to happen in the next year. And just to thank everybody for their support and just to know that this channel has always been about healing and doing things that are healthy, that encourage our lives in healthy ways. And I did find my yoga swing in my storage, but I don't have any place to hang it here. um, but just to get acquainted with my story, and hopefully, if you guys are led to, knowing that you have somebody that's there for you, even if I don't see you every day or even ever meet you, it doesn't mean I can't support you. So I hope that you understand that and know that in the bottom of your heart, that that's what I am driven and guided to do. And if you want to be part of that story, subscribe and like, and you'll get all of the things that that move me and watch and see my transformation over 2026. Okay. So thank you again for tuning in today. Again, I really want to try to keep these on time. So um, thank you so much. And I will see you guys on the next one. I will have a schedule coming out, and there will be a video talking about I'm going to have things coming out, and you what you can expect things. And I might get my memberships up again, whatever. But right now, I just want to focus on the direction of the channel, and just really setting my intention for 2026 and what my content's going to be, and just the direction of Think Factory and the business itself. Whatever. What is Oh, yeah. Well, my outfit of the day, I mean, it's not really an outfit. I mean, it's just I was gonna write back to you. But I mean, it's not, it's just what I decided to wear today. I mean, it's just a dress. So um that's it. Just a little simple Lowell or something like that dress. I think I got it at the thrift store this summer. So my fit, I did work out this morning, and I am gonna start doing some more, workout videos, I think. Maybe once a week, having you guys, thank you, having you guys come. I I only have two rooms in this place plus my bathroom. So this is the kitchen slash dining room slash living room, which I still don't have my couches. And the other room is my bedroom, but it's big enough that I could put a couch in there. And then I have this kind of like closet area, which is like where I do all my crafting and stuff. Right now I have, as you saw, the sewing machines. I'm moving those today. I got a table yesterday that I just brought inside. It's a desk that I got from my storage. I have to put the links back on it and stuff. But what my sewing machine on is it's my headboard that I built, basically a leg kind of just ad hoc, like through some 2x4s together to make legs for my headboard. And I have that sitting, with my sewing machines on it. Obviously, it's not it's not the best height and everything. So what I would like to do is either put the headboard on the desk that I got, so that it sits up higher so that my legs can actually go underneath it. And I don't have a chair yet. I need to go get a chair, like a rolling chair for my sewing machines. I just have a long bench that I've been using so I can kind of move across the bench and use all my sewing machines. Because usually what happens is I go to one and it's not, it's not working the way I want it to work or whatever. So I moved to the next one. I'm like, yeah, I'll fix that one later. But none of these are actually the sewing machines that I had at my house. So yeah, tall girl problems, exactly. I don't know how in the world women ever sat at those little sewing machines, the tables that you open up. And I mean, it's like, I'm like scrunched up underneath there when I'm trying to sew. I'm like, that is not the way I want to be sewing. It's miserable like that. I don't know. Women, I guess, well, and in general, so I'm 5'11". I was 5'11" and a half most of my life. And people that are 6 feet, even people 5'11" and taller, is 1% of the entire population worldwide. So, being tall is definitely an anomaly, and especially in my family because my mom and dad were both 5'8". Now my grandfathers both were tall. My dad's dad was 6'6", and my dad was 5'8". So I must have gotten my height from him. I'm the tallest girl in my family. My brother, the only person taller than me was my brother. He was 6'4", and he passed away. So I'm like the tallest girl or tallest person in my whole entire family at this point. And we have history of the family going back to Germany in the 12th century. So we have 1,000 years of history. And I'll talk about that maybe one time. My mom's first cousin lives in the town that I live in. He's 93. And when he was 86, I think, he went back to where my great grandparents were from, where they left to come to the United States in Russia. And he wrote a book. It's called Kulak. He wrote a play, and it's also a book. And I'll share that with you guys maybe at some point because it's really interesting. And, my family has a lot of, they're very proud of their German and European heritage. My mom's cousin speaks fluent German. He was a German teacher. My whole family speaks German except for me because I was born so late. I was the last of the last cousins. I was the very last one to be born. My sisters are both 16 and 17 years older than me. So, there's almost an entire generation in between just my siblings and I. So we were never that close anyway. But they're all half brothers and sisters, but again, we're still related by blood. So anyway, so that's all I got, and I'll be, yeah, I'm the only blonde, the only tall one, um, and I'm actually thinking of dyeing my hair dark. I'm thinking about my mom, she so my hair, the natural is like this under, it's like kind of a dirty blonde. Um, and I was thinking about maybe go not just, but maybe, my hair is now starting to gray, which is why I highlight it and stuff. And so I was thinking about maybe trying to go towards and just see what it would be like to be a dark hair, because I've always been a blonde. Always, always, always. I mean, it's my natural color. My arm hairs are blonde, my eyebrows are blonde, the hairs that grow on my face are blonde, my leg hair is blonde. So I've always just stuck with, I mean, literally, I have like hairs on my legs that were so fine. I've never really been able to get them with the razor. So they're just these longer hairs that, I mean, if I really get in there with my flashlight, I can get them. But even like my armpit hair is still blonde because, I've never had to shave it that much because it's blonde, right? So, uh, luckily, and I'm not the hairiest person in the world, except as you age, because you go through like a vitamin B deficiency, usually as you age. Sometimes you will get like some hairs here, or I guess here. Um, Luckily, I haven't really had a lot of that. I think I happened at one point, and I was trying to get electro hair, you know, electro hair, whatever it is, removal. And she's like, well, why don't we just get you on vitamins? And so that seemed to have taken care of it. So anyway, I'm sure if I get up really, really close to the camera, you can see some blonde hairs here and there. I've seen them, in my job, because I do a lot of POV, right? So I get up close. I'm like, wow, okay. I guess I need to pluck a couple hairs. So anyway, though, it's really not bad. I feel bad for some people, that are just like, they look like, they're just, if they're Armenian or, they're really hairy. I don't think it looks bad, but they're so concerned about it. And so they use Nair and all kinds of stuff. And it's like, I've never had to do that. Thank goodness. I've never shaved my hairs or anything. My daughter did once, and I was like, "Don't do that." I said, "Because when you shave it, it comes back, it grows back thicker, and generally it looks darker because it's a thicker hair." I said, "So don't do that again." I said, "Because then it's going to look like you have really hairy arms, even if they're not that hairy." Because she has naturally, dark hair. I mean, it's a little bit darker than this, but it's not black. That's for sure, like her dad's was. Okay. So 17 minutes over. I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for coming by today, and hopefully, you get to share in all my successes forward, because I see everything as, getting through this whole period has been um, amazing that I've even made it. And so since I have, let's celebrate and support each other. And that's really what my message is. It has really always been. And so let's continue with that, and support each other in our successes, and be there for each other as human beings. Okay. So I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for stopping by. And I can't wait to, answer questions or anything that you guys may have. Again, thank you for your support, especially the Riddler. You've supported me since day one, and I really appreciate all of your comments and your support. I really, really do. That means everything to me. So thank you so much.